Good morning, I'm Dani Laurel. It is Monday, the 9th of March, bringing you Morning Matters because your mornings matter. Let's get to the stories that matter today. Global oil prices have surpassed the $100 per barrel mark for the first time in nearly 4 years. And domestic fuel prices are expected to skyrocket starting tomorrow, with diesel likely to breach the 80 peso mark, while gasoline surpasses 70 pesos per liter. House lawmakers warned that the impeachment proceedings against Vice President Sara Duterte could begin ahead of the original schedule if she misses the March 16th deadline. And the ICC Appeals Chamber has unanimously upheld the continued detention of former President Rodrigo Duterte. Judges ruled that Duterte's health claims were insufficient to warrant freedom, citing independent medical reports as the most reliable evidence of his current condition. Welcome to our program, Morning Matters, where we talk about the issues you need to know for the rest of your day. Now, first on the agenda, oil prices have surged above $100 per barrel for the first time in nearly 4 years. It's following attacks on key oil depots and refineries in Iran amid the escalating conflict involving Israel and the United States. Here's that report.
Massive flames and thick smoke engulfed this highway in Iran. The Akdesiye fuel depot in Tehran is on fire after it was reportedly targeted by airstrikes carried out by Israel and the United States. Meanwhile, the Sharan oil refinery also bursts into flames after being hit by a missile. In the city of Isfahan, a series of explosions were also recorded. Among the targets there, an airfield that was struck during the attacks. Even establishments in the capital Tehran were hit, including areas near Mehrabad Airport. According to the Israeli army, their operations are aimed at infrastructure connected to the Iranian regime. The United States has also released new footage showing what it says are precision strikes against targets inside Iran. In response, Iran launched another round of airstrikes against Gulf countries that host U.S. military bases. In Kuwait, a government building was reportedly hit. A drone strike also struck a high-rise building in Dubai, although many incoming missiles were intercepted. Falling debris forced authorities to temporarily suspend flights in the area. In Abu Dhabi, the UAE president visited civilians injured in the conflict. Meanwhile, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian apologized to neighboring countries affected by the escalation. He insisted Iran is not targeted neighboring states, which he called brother nations. Iran earlier said its primary targets are U.S. military bases in Gulf countries. Despite this, Iran has also launched missile attacks against Israel, which continues to carry out strikes inside Iran. Missiles were intercepted over Tel Aviv and parts of the West Bank. In the latest tally, more than 1,300 people have been killed in 2 weeks of fighting between U.S.-Israel forces and Iran. Despite the rising casualties, U.S. President Donald Trump, who authorized the strikes against Iran, said operations will continue as long as Iran still has military capability and remaining leadership. Trump earlier warned the conflict could last up to a month.
Meanwhile, the Islamic Republic has a new architect of power. Iranian state television announced post-midnight that Mojtaba Khamenei has been named as supreme leader, succeeding his father who was killed in a strike less than 2 weeks ago. This selection by the Assembly of Experts ends days of speculation and internal rift, cementing the younger Khamenei at the heart of the theocracy. With Mojtaba at the helm, Tehran appears ready for a long-term confrontation. He now holds the key to Iran's military strategy and its potential nuclear ambitions. Thousands of supporters were shown celebrating in the streets of Tehran early Monday, even as the shadow of the ongoing conflict hangs heavier than ever over the region. Fuel prices in the country are expected to rise sharply this week due to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. According to the Department of Energy, diesel prices could climb to over 80 pesos per liter, while gasoline may exceed 70 pesos per liter. Meanwhile, the agency has issued a warning against unauthorized or premature price hikes. Energy Secretary Sharon Garin said government agencies have intensified inspections of gas stations to prevent hoarding, profiteering, and possible supply manipulation. And the Department of Transportation is preparing 3.5 billion pesos in subsidies to provide free rides for commuters and help cover part of the fuel costs for public utility vehicles. Acting Transportation Secretary Giovanni Lopez said 1 billion pesos from the 2026 General Appropriations Act will fund the service contracting program, which offers free rides on selected bus routes. The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or the LTFRB, meanwhile, is finalizing the list of beneficiaries for 2.5 billion pesos in fuel subsidies. Funds will be released once the Department of Energy certifies that Dubai crude has averaged $80 per barrel, although lawmakers are urging faster action amid the recent price spikes. President Bongbong Marcos has also announced plans to seek authority to lower the excise tax on petroleum products. Meanwhile, Education Secretary Sonia Angara says public school classes will not be covered by the 4-day work week. Angara clarified that only the offices of the Education Department will follow the new work arrangement. Starting March 9th, some executive branch agencies will shift to a 4-day on-site work week as the government prepares for higher oil prices linked to the Middle East conflict. Under that directive, agencies may adopt a compressed work week or a designated work-from-home day to help reduce energy consumption and fuel use. Economist Jonathan Rivera said the government should begin rolling out measures to cushion the potential economic impact of the ongoing conflicts in the Middle East. In an interview with The Big Story, Ravelas noted that suspending the excise tax on fuel is not a viable option, stressing that the government still relies on the revenue it generates. Instead of removing the tax, he recommended targeted subsidies for vulnerable sectors. Ravelas also said that the proposed 4-day work week would likely be temporary, but emphasized that the digital space should be used to boost productivity and make the arrangement more palatable for both workers and businesses.
What are your thoughts on the proposals to, one, remove the excise tax, or two, maybe remove the VAT on oil products?
Ideally, I think at this point in time, the government needs revenue. So, suspending the excise tax, it's really more about doing mitigating measures. And one of them probably is a portion of the income generated could be given or a subsidy given to a selected sector. No, so these are not ayudas, but you're really giving them subsidy. So when they go to a certain gasoline station, they will be written and then they'll probably be given a discount or a subsidy of 500. So the subsidies that the government should do is something that is credited to them. It's not money given to them, so that it will really be targeted to offset the impact of transport. Maybe a subsidy on electricity for some, which the government has already started. So it's just probably trying to work on those and probably mitigating measures that could probably be temporary, meaning it's just good for maybe 1-2 months and then it stops. Because we will just assume and probably take it one step at a time, whether to do more. 4-day work week will probably be more of temporary. But again, given the set of technologies, we can actually try to use this type of the digital space as an opportunity to, take advantage of it so that we become more productive. So rather than being in traffic, if you are able to work in a place near your work or near your home, then definitely it makes it more palatable, especially during this 1 to 2 months, assuming that we really see that this situation could probably be more of temporary. No? But again, if it one of the things that even recently BSP Governor Remolona said, I guess the key number that we're all waiting for is an oil price above 100. Then that's something that, that already sends signals that we could probably breach the 3% in terms of inflation.
And coming right up, the House Justice Panel will fast-track the impeachment case against Vice President Sara Duterte if she misses the 10-day window to file her legal rebuttal. To discuss this further, House Committee on Justice member and Bicol Saro Representative Terry Redon is joining us next. Don't go away. We will be back after this short break. Keep it here on One News. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. The House Committee on Justice may advance its hearing on the impeachment complaints against Vice President Sara Duterte if she fails to submit her comments within 10 days. Committee Chair Representative Jervil Luistro said a lack of response would be treated as a general denial of the allegations. The Vice President was originally given until March 15 to file her comments, with an extension to March 16 since the 15th falls on a Sunday. Now, if she misses that deadline, the committee could hold the hearing as early as March 17 or 18 ahead of the April 8 schedule. Luistro added that sworn affidavits and oral testimony will be heard during the hearing proper. Duterte will still be invited, and her absence would be interpreted as a waiver of her right to attend. And to talk to us more about this, we're joined by Bicol Saro Representative Terry Redon. Good morning, Kong.
Good morning, Dani. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming back on the show. Let's kick off with this issue about the response of the Vice President. First of all, is there any indication she still has until March 15 or even March 16, because it's a Sunday, to respond? What is the expectation here? Has the Committee on Justice reached out to her? Is she saying that she will be responding within the window, or talagang silence from her end?
No, we're just waiting for her to respond within the 10 days that she has been given. So I think she was given the notice last Thursday, and then she has 10 days up until next week for her to actually respond to the notice to answer.
Okay, so at this point, it's a little bit premature, right, to still say whether she will respond or not. But given that this is a procedure that she needs to comply with, the absence of comment, I'm quoting here Rep. Luistro, would be taken as a blanket denial. Can you explain this a little bit further? Is that a legally binding thing, that if she doesn't respond, it's a denial of everything?
Well, I think Chairman Luistro is correct. No? Chairperson Luistro is correct that it will be considered a general denial, and as such, I don't think the endorsers, complainants will be required at that point to even respond, no? Because no answer has been given by the Vice President. And she is correct when she said that if there is no answer, the committee can actually immediately proceed with full impeachment hearings at that time. So we don't have to wait for the April 8th week us to commence proceedings. We can immediately commence as soon as she does not respond by next week.
Because if she does respond by next week, is there another response that needs to be given by those that filed? That's why it was April 8th.
The endorsers, complainants will be asked to reply to the answer of the Vice President, after which the Vice President can file a rejoinder to the reply of the complainants' endorsers.
Okay, so it's not so much a fast track. It's the fact that if she doesn't reply, there's nothing anymore to be rebutting at this point, no? Is realistically what would happen here, because you actually had the 60 calendar days, no, to do all of this. She doesn't have that right anymore to this whole process of 60 days.
Well, the 60-day process is really on the Justice Committee to basically
Okay.
do its entire proceedings, no? So after which, whether she submits an answer or not, the full impeachment proceedings within the committee will commence. So we will invite all the necessary witnesses, all the necessary resource persons. We will subpoena all the necessary documents related to all of the grounds that had been approved in substance by the committee.
And how long would this entire impeachment process be expected to take? If let's say we fast track this already by next week.
No, our expectation is still that we will undertake proceedings up until maybe around May, after which we
Okay.
can vote in the committee whether or not the impeachment should proceed to plenary for a vote. And then hopefully we are done by the end of May.
By the end of May. So this is
At the level
the
of the
key
plenary.
target. Okay. If the VP chooses not to attend, Rep, what are her rights here? Can she just show up suddenly if she suddenly feels like it? Can she provide counter evidence at any point in time? Is she allowed to still continue even if this period lapses?
Well, I think she has all the right to attend, but she also has all the right not to attend. Uh, as is the case for all respondents in impeachment proceedings, no? We will have to determine as to how she will be able to provide her defenses in the event that she does not attend the proceedings, no? So I have to check with the rules whether her lawyers may be able to provide some defenses, or maybe they may work with some of the House members of the committee as to how they can provide some of the pieces of evidence in their defense.
Do you have any idea how many hearings there's going to be for this entire process?
I think the specific number of hearings hasn't been determined as yet, no? It will really have to depend on a per ground basis. So we will have to determine the number of witnesses and resource persons per ground that are necessary to get to the truth on these matters, no? So I'm expecting per ground we will probably require at the very least 2 hearings, no, per ground.
Okay, 2 hearings per ground, which will already have the evidence presented by both parties.
That's correct, no? So for example, on the Madriaga affidavit, we will probably request Madriaga to attend. So we will have to coordinate with the BGMP and the court that has jurisdiction on Mr. Madriaga. On the SAL end, we will have to subpoena all the documents, particularly her SAL ends as vice mayor, mayor, and as vice president. So we will have to invite the Office of the Ombudsman for this. And we will also have to subpoena some of the BIR documents that had been submitted, particularly the income tax returns that had been submitted by the Duterte Carpio couple in the last couple of years.
Will there be any limitations on her power or position in office during this period?
No,
Or
she remains
as
vice.
usual lang?
No, she remains vice president, and she is free to do all of her powers and rights as vice president of the nation. So yung po mga ginagawa niya, na activities po ng OVP, magpapatuloy lang naman po ito.
Okay. Has the president been involved in any way in this procedure? Has he
No, I
been,
don't-
or
No, I
completely
don't think
silent
the president
also?
is involved in any way. The impeachment process is solely an exclusive power of Congress, no? So not the president, not the Senate has been involved in any of the impeachment proceedings as we're undertaking today.
How do we ensure stability, Kong, in the administration? Because this is just a couple of months away, and we take the risk to lose the second person in office in the land. Is there going to be a quick replacement? What is usually the legal process here to find a new candidate, especially since this position was elected by the people?
Well, there's a constitutional succession mechanism, no? in the event that impeachable officials are removed from office, whether it's the president or the vice president. No? So I think that will be in place. But of course, that would be a bit premature to discuss at this point because we have to proceed to trial first and we have to remove an actual impeachable officer first.
How do we ensure for the public that the entire process in the House will be transparent, not politicized, especially given the fact that she is running for 2028? She has announced that. There are specific factions within the House. How can the people make sure that this gets voted on, that all the evidence gets presented? Is it a public hearing? Will people be able to participate in any way?
Well, impeachment proceedings are mainly an accountability mechanism that is enshrined in the 1987 Constitution. So I think the most important test as to whether we are transparent and that we are fair would be the level and the amount of evidence that can be elicited from the proceedings. No? So I think the more evidence that we have, the more documentation and witnesses that we have to present during the course of the proceedings will show to the public that this is mainly an accountability mechanism against impeachable officers like the Vice President.
All right, so continuing that process here. Rep, I have another statement that you made very recently regarding, we're shifting gears here towards the oil story. You were pushing for the subsidies to be released as soon as possible. Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct. My understanding is that the Transport Department was saying that releasing the subsidies is dependent on a certification of the Department of Energy with the price monitoring for an entire month. No? Which is why in which the price of oil in the international market should be at $80 per barrel. But I think we shouldn't wait for an entire month for the fuel subsidies to kick in. Because for example, as we speak today, the international price for oil is not at $80 per barrel anymore. It's already
yes.
at 100 already. So I think we have to be able to cushion the effects of this particular price increase in the soonest time. So whatever it is mechanism that the executive department can actually undertake to expedite the release of these funds, they should undertake in the soonest time.
Can you clarify or nuance that directive of this confirmation of $80 per barrel for 1 month on average? Now, this is Dubai crude. Is that a standing order? Is that something that was created? Is that a legal process, a very difficult thing to change? Or it's something that who has the power to decide on when these funds can be released?
Well, my understanding is it's a standing executive policy, no? So if it's a standing executive policy, it's something that ultimately the president can actually intervene on. So hopefully the president gets to intervene on this matter, particularly because he has control on both the energy department and the transportation department. No? So well, this is our expectation, because I don't think our transport and logistics sectors can actually wait an entire month for the trigger to actually come. Di ba? So, hopefully, yung 2 linggo pong palugit na nananatili at above $80 per barrel po yung presyo ng langis, tingin ko dapat sapat na po yun para mag-trigger po ng fuel subsidy release.
Does the president not need to ask Congress for the special powers?
We'll
as he is doing for the fuel excise tax, di ba? Hindi niya magawa pa eh.
Well, we will have to check the mechanism for that. No? Kasi if it's a special provision or a particular provision in the budget law. But if it's something that's just a standing policy, which is an interagency policy, it's something that the president can actually intervene on, or it is something which both departments can actually resolve yung Energy Department and the Transport Department. But again, I think at this point, the necessary imperative is really for us to expedite all of these processes so that the public can actually benefit already from stated fuel subsidies.
And we have that money, no? I mean, we've headlined that money exists. 1 billion is from the GAA. You have 3.5 billion from the DOTR and 2.5 billion from the LTFRB being set aside. So it's just a matter of disbursing these funds. These funds are ready.
That's correct. No? So I think that particular certification, of course, it's a very important certification. But if it's something that both agencies can actually work with without firstly relying on the president to intervene, or secondly without relying on Congress to actually intervene, I think the better for everyone.
Siguro, my question there was, can we assure the people who are watching today our show that matutulungan naman kayo, di ba? It's just a matter of time, especially given that the prices have already breached 100. So they will be expecting this ayuda.
Well, I think kailangan mo ma-deliver po yun kasi obviously on top of the removal of excise taxes or VAT, or both, no? I think these are the targeted subsidies that had been in place in the past, and it's something that should be implemented in the soonest time. Kasi yung po removal of excise taxes or reducing excise taxes or suspending VAT on petroleum products, it's something that will take a little bit more time. Kasi syempre it needs to go through Congress and the Senate. Pero ito po fuel subsidies, it is something that the public can actually benefit from as soon as the certification is made and the fuel subsidies are actually released to the beneficiaries.
Rep, last question before we let you go. Your 2 cents on the excise taxes being cut, especially since we do need that as government revenue.
Well, we have to make a determination on which can actually impact on the public the best, no, at this point. So we have to decide whether we have to suspend the VAT or to remove the excise taxes. No? I think we have a greater impact if we remove the excise taxes kasi malalaki po yun eh. So meron 10 pesos per liter, tapos meron pong mga talaga pong bababa po yung presyo pagka po yun po yung tinanggalan. So I think we have to see the numbers first. But obviously, what we need to be able to do is reduce the price impact on the consumers in the soonest time. So we will leave it to Congress. We will leave it to our committees to make that determination. Kung VAT po ba dapat yung unahin or excise taxes po yung dapat unahin.
The President has already asked for Congress to provide him with special powers on suspending the excise taxes. How soon will that be voted on?
My understanding is that the Ways and Means Committee will have a meeting already this week. No? So hopefully, if we are able to approve it within the week and then it goes to plenary, we hope to have a version for plenary before the break.
All right. Thank you so much for your time and insights, Bicol Saro Representative Terry Redon. Thank you, Rep.
Thank you. Good morning.
Meanwhile, the International Criminal Court Appeals Chamber has upheld the continued detention of former President Rodrigo Duterte. The ICC said the appeals judges unanimously affirmed the earlier ruling of the pre-trial chamber to keep Duterte in custody. The chamber rejected all arguments from the defense, including claims that Duterte should be released due to his health condition. Judges said the court correctly relied on independent medical experts, noting the reports provided the most reliable and updated information on Duterte's health. Duterte was arrested in March of 2025 and was brought to The Hague, where he faces allegations of crimes against humanity linked to his war on drugs. President Bongbong Marcos is now in New York to attend a series of meetings at the United Nations. He is expected to discuss escalating tensions in the Middle East and seek stronger international support for the Philippines' bid for a non-permanent seat on the UN Security Council. Malacanang said that First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos and several cabinet officials are accompanying the president on the trip. During his March 9 to 10 engagements, Marcos will address a special session of the UN General Assembly to promote the Philippines' Security Council candidacy for 2027 to 2028 and deliver remarks at the 70th session of the Commission on the Status of Women. Up next, fast, convenient, and budget-friendly motorcycle ride-hailing is the ultimate commuter hack, but with a massive oil price hike looming, how will the industry cope? Angkas CEO George Royeca joins us to talk about fare adjustments and rider welfare up next. Keep it here on One News. Good morning, I'm Dani Laurel, and here on Morning Matters, we talk about the most pressing issues and give you the context behind the headlines. As we know, fuel prices in the Philippines may rise sharply this week as global oil markets react to the tensions in the Middle East. The Department of Energy estimates minimum increases of 19 pesos per liter for diesel, 9 pesos for gasoline, and 31 pesos for kerosene. The DOE says these are initial projections and may still change once oil companies finalize their price adjustments. Oil firms are also studying the possibility of staggered price hikes if the increases turn out to be too steep. Now, under this option, pump prices may be adjusted daily or several times within the week instead of a single large increase. Commuters and transport groups are preparing for the impact of the spike in fuel prices, and one sector closely watching this situation is the motorcycle ride-hailing industry. And joining us now is Angkas CEO George Royeca. George, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Dani.
Quite a nightmare situation for all of us here, no? Medyo mahirap na nga ang ekonomiya, so this is quite a nightmare. Give us an idea of the immediate impact and what Angkas is doing in this situation.
Well, we're always looking at gas prices. No? Syempre, obviously, that impacts our motorcycle fleet directly. But it doesn't always mean that we will have a price hike. In fact, our fares our price matrix are pretty fixed, no, from the government, from our regulators under LTFRB, and we don't regularly increase prices. So I don't think that right now there's anything that's gonna increase the price for motorcycle. We want to make it as affordable as possible to the commuters at this point in time.
What would cause a price increase, George, just to manage our people's expectations here?
We'll continue to monitor, right? If the gas prices really soar, it impacts our fleet. As you know, motorcycles are still quite fuel efficient.
Okay.
And for us, we do a lot of, I guess, internal remedies. We do our own incentive plans to make sure that we balance the take-home pay over bikers as well. So we welcome subsidies from government and other incentives externally, but we also do our own internal ones.
When you say incentives, you have the announcements from the government already, so you've got the DOTR 3.5 billion subsidies for the commuters. Right. That's the free rides. A lot are buses, actually. And then you've got the LTFRB fuel subsidies of 2.5 billion. That also covered some tricycle drivers before. Are you covered in any way under this program?
I believe so. I believe we are. I think we're working closely with the Department of Transportation, and I know that motorcycle taxis are included as part of the fuel subsidies.
And how could that help you in this situation? Does that just buoy the pricing, no?
Yeah, I mean, it brings down the cost, right? Obviously, for fuel for bikers, and it increases their take-home pay. But on top of that, we also do a lot of work with the private sector, the gas stations. We have locked-in pricing with them, and other types of incentives as well.
Okay. This is not the first time this has happened, although it's been about 4 years since we saw the Russia-Ukraine war, and Angkas was already there. How did you cope during that period?
A lot of different interventions. For us, we continuously make improvements to our app so that the algorithm creates better matching. We give them better rides, more rides per hour, as well as use other forms of alternative jobs like logistics to be able to increase overall take-home pay of our bikers, as well as partnerships with the private sector. Like I said earlier, we do partnerships with gas stations as well to be able to manage costs.
Have you, can you nuance that for us? What kind of partnerships can you have with gas stations with regard to the cost? Are you involved in the pricing in any way, or the supply? Give us an idea.
So pricing discounts. Of course, now we'll have to
Discounts.
revisit them. I'm not sure how much more discounts we can still apply or we can continue to apply, but we have those partnerships in place.
With specific gas stations in the metro, you mean?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Actually, a bright spot, of course, it's never really a bright spot, but a bright spot for Angkas is that with this surging costs in fuel, those that have cars might turn to Angkas as a cheaper option. Do you expect that?
Yes, I think for us, a lot of people use this alternative transport for many emergencies, and I think this calls for one: rising gas prices and cars being a bit more expensive because they also take longer on the road. So this is something that could be a positive, little bit of a positive, like you said, glimmer of a light for motorcycle taxis.
Did you see that before happening?
For us, it's really more on congestion rather than gas prices. It would really depend. Sometimes, because of rising gas prices, a lot of, I guess, interventions happen, like work from home, 4-day work weeks, also as what the president said with the government. So that also reduces congestion
Tama.
on the roads, and people go out less, and that means less rides.
Okay. Do you have any call for the excise tax issue? Is that something that you feel strongly about?
For us, we work very closely with the government. Anything to bring down fuel prices, especially for the working sector, which is motorcycle taxis or the transport sector that uses vehicles as a means for their livelihood, is always welcome.
Sorry, George. Can you clarify you are pro the suspension of excise tax right now because fuel prices have breached 100?
Yeah, for us, anything that will bring down the fuel prices is something that we always welcome.
Okay. Are
Yeah.
you looking at the situation of supply of the Philippines? You have 90% of the crude oil coming from the Middle East. Is this something that concerns you? Have you discussed this with the DOE or the Transport Department regarding just general supply of oil?
Like I said, now, Dani, this is not the first rodeo. We've had a lot of these, type of situation before, and the supply has never been an issue, at least from our end. It's really more on managing the biker take-home pay or our biker partners,
Right.
providing them, the right income levels, and putting in the incentives or other types of intervention to be able to make sure that they don't get hit so much. And in the past, we've been able to to not just survive, but be okay during these times of crisis.
But of course, you also need to be able to manage your operational costs, no, George? How are you able to balance that as a company that is, of course, primarily 100% reliant on the costs of fuel, which is your main cost? How can you manage that, which is now very variable, and still maintain the fixed operating costs of the salaries that you are promising, and of course the fares that you are promising to your commuters?
Two things. One, we have to always be operationally efficient. Like also following the president's call of tightening our belts, we do a lot of meetings online. That also prevents our our own employees from having to spend more and going to work. So that's a big plus for us in terms of operational efficiency. And number two is really technology.
Okay.
We continuously make improvements to the app, make sure algorithms are better so that they can provide better rides. They can also provide more rides, more efficient rides that is along the routes of our bikers so that they don't have to veer away so far. We have back-to-back features or auto-accept features that allow bikers to, optimize their routes so that they get the most bang for their buck, so to speak, in terms of the payouts. So this manages their take-home pay much better. So technology plays a very very important role in making sure that we're always efficient in our operations and we're technologically, optimized all the time.
How has the culture of ride hailing, especially with Angkas, changed in recent years? Is it, are there more people? Do you have a fixed amount of fleet that is regulated, of course, by the LTFRB? Is there more demand than supply of the fleet? Are you in expansion mode? Give us more ideas on how Angkas is operating now.
Well, I think the culture is very different from, I guess, maybe almost a decade ago. I think we've been operating for almost a decade now, back to when, it wasn't fully accepted. But right now, there's a
Right.
wide acceptance of motorcycle taxis everywhere. I think the market has grown. The supply is something that we're always continuously working with the regulators on in terms of how do we make sure that we have the right supply and demand. And for us, expansion is one of the key pillars that we want to be able to implement this year. I
Okay.
think government is already working on making, on how to do this, how to give this opportunity effectively and safely to the rest of the country. Because right now, majority of the country, well, at least motorcycle taxis are just, implemented in the metropolitans for now. And, there's still a lot of other cities or urban cities outside of the metropolitans that need this type of service.
How can you give us a number for your fleet and what you're looking at to expand?
I think right now it's still the same. We haven't added to our fleet. It's still roughly around 30,000 across the two metropolitans.
Okay, that's a lot.
But we hope to expand to other markets and provide the service elsewhere.
So the 30,000, George, is because there's a limit with what is allowable on the road. Is that correct?
Correct.
Or is
Correct.
this a choice of Angkas?
There's a quota, there's a cap that is implemented by the LTFRB in terms of how many bikers you can have as a provider, as an operator on the road.
And is this evaluated annually? Do you have ongoing talks on how are you able to expand this figure?
So this was an evolution, right? I mean, in the beginning, it was really about survival, making sure that we were accepted, and asking for these types of regulations. And the second part of it was ensuring that we had this many bikers on the road, and we were able to train them. We were able
Right.
to secure the necessary safety protocols and maintain the safety standards that we were claiming and that we could, right? So there was a lot of discussion around that. So I think now this year is about how do we expand the service to other areas. Hopefully also maybe looking at the quotas and making sure that we have the right supply and demand. But right now for us, our focus is really the current issue right now, which is the pricing of the gas price, and how do we make sure that we manage the biker take home pay and they don't get hit, which we believe, or at least they get minimally hit or as minimal as possible. But I believe this is something that we've done across multiple crises, and this situation is something that we're not new to the situation.
When you say you want to expand outside of the metro, which areas are you talking about here?
Urban centers, there's a lot of cities outside of the metropolitan that are congested, and we have we've been reviewing a lot of these cities, and hopefully we can get the permits to be able to expand to them. We'll
Okay,
reveal
so
that in due
that's-
time.
All right, so that's that's in the offing. What are the commuters most worried about? Have they reached out to you? I'm sure you're very in touch with them. What are they worried about, and what's your message to them?
I think the commuters is always about primordial concern of the commuters is safety and of course reliability, right? And we have to make sure that we always are able to deliver a driver to you when you press the book button. And to us, we've always continuously increased that level of reliability. We've been through several price hikes and oil price crisis, and our customers and our passengers have always been happy with the service that we provide, and we're here to stay. And this is something that we work with the government very closely to be able to tide us over.
And your message to the drivers, George?
Just ride safely. You know, make sure that you just take all the bookings as much as you can, and ride safety. Always safety first is always for the passengers, and we will get through this together.
Safety first, and no reason to panic there. And of course, Angkas will do everything internally as well to be able to maintain or at least cushion the blow for our consumers and your employees. Thank you so much, Angkas CEO George Royeca.
Thank you, Dan.
And don't go away, more matters to discuss after this short break. Keep it here on One News. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. Now at this point, let's check the situation at gasoline stations. We have with us mobile journalist Arles de los Santos on the ground. Arles, nasan ka ngayon? I can see a Petron station. Where are you exactly? Ano nangyayari dyan? Are people gassing up or trying to beat tomorrow's price increase?
Dani, actually halo-halo ng mga ganyang bagay ang sitwasyon sa mga gasoline stations sa iba't ibang bahagi ng bansa. Pero ngayon ay nagsasagawa ng inspeksyon ng gas stations patungkol nga sa oil price at supply nito. Yung Department of Energy kung saan nga una nang hinainan ng show cause order ang isang gas company dito sa Pasig City na Global Oil House, dahil nga sa hindi umano pagsunod nito sa tamang presyo ng produktong petrolyo noong March 6 at 7. Binigyan mismo ni Undersecretary ng DOE na si Felix William Fentabella yung show cause order doon mismo sa kumpanya at binigyan sila ng 24 na oras upang magpaliwanag. Kung mabibigo ang kumpanya na ipaliwanag ang kanilang posisyon, posible silang magkaroon o humarap sa mga kasong administratibo at kriminal kung saan naman pwede ring ma-revoke ang kanilang lisensya. Nakita natin, Dani, hindi lang ngayon itong nakitang paggalaw ng presyo dahil kahapon sa ating paglilibot sa iba pang mga probinsya at pagmatsyag sa Batangas, meron na doon yung diesel, yung halaga ng diesel ay umabot na sa 82 pesos. Samantalang yung unleaded and yung premium na gasolina ay pumapatak na ng halos 70 pesos. Mas mataas yan kumpara nga sa itinatakdang halaga ng DOE kung saan nga muli nilang pinaalalahanan na yung mga kumpanya na hindi susunod dito ay talagang hahabulin ng ahensya dahil in a way may krisis at ito daw ay pananamantala doon nga sa nangyayari. Meron din paalala si DOE Secretary Sharon Garin na sinabing yung mga hindi susunod dito ng mga kumpanya at yung mga hindi magbebenta hanggat hindi itinataas yung presyo ay pwede ring humarap sa mga kaso. Dani.
Were you watching the situation? Kasi alam naman ng mga tao na itong week ang big fuel increase week, no? So nitong weekend, bago pa man today, Monday morning, marami na bang taong nagpagas nitong weekend anticipating? Or marami bang car traffic that you can see that's really in the gas stations right now?
Madami na talaga, Dani, pero kumpara sa ngayon, mas madami talaga yung Sunday, Pero inaasahan kasi natin Tuesday pa, March 10 pa, magkakaroon ng oil price hike. So, yung iba ay nagpapanik na in a way, para daw makatipid ng kahit magkano, uunahin na nilang magpagas agad, Pero yung ibang gasoline station, nagtaas agad ng mas maaga pa, kaya naghanap at nagsipila nga itong mga motorista sa mga estasyon na higit na mas mababa ang presyo.
Meron bang signs of hoarding or hindi naman?
Sa ngayon, Dani, hindi pa natin nakukumpirma kung meron nga bang signs of hoarding. Pero matiin na yung paalala ng DOE no, na hindi ito ina-advise sa publiko at mas mainam nga no, na hayaan na makapagpagas yung publiko, in a way, no, yung magpanik yung mga motorista dahil at least for the next 2 months, meron naman daw sapat na supply, pero yung pagtaas ng presyo talaga, yun yung kailangan pagpukusan ng pamahalaan. Though sinabi naman nila na staggered o utay-utay yung magiging pagtaas ng presyo ng mga petrolyo.
Sinasabi ba ng gas stations na sapat naman ang supply nila? Wala naman silang worry doon, no?
Dani, actually kahapon nakakita na tayo ng ilang mga larawan at mga gas stations na out of stock na yung kanilang mga
Talaga
gas.
ba?
So, hindi pa natin natitignan kung sarado pa rin sila hanggang ngayon at wala pa talaga silang stock, o yung iba naman baka iniipit lamang daw para pag nagtaas ng presyo mas malaki na yung mabebenta nila, no? So yan yung mga pwede pa nating tignan, Dani, para nga masigurado na hindi rin magka-problema at the same time yung mga motorista na syempre pumapasada, gaya na lamang ng mga jeepney driver at tricycle drivers, kasi maging yung pagtaas ng presyo ng pamasahe ay wala pa rin pinal na kumpirmasyon kung magkakaroon nga ba ngayon.
Sorry, Arles, legal ba yon na i-keep muna or at i-shut down muna ang station to keep the supplies? Sinabi mo na, diba pinapanood ng DOE yan eh?
Yes, Dani, hindi yun legal. Kaya ang nagbigay ng babala si DOE Secretary Sharon Garin na pwede talaga silang makasuhan at ma-revoke yung kanilang mga lisensya, no? Aabangan natin kung magkakaroon nga ba ng ganitong sitwasyon dito, kasi ngayon nakalagpas na tayo ng Katipunan. Nandito na tayo mismo sa Katipunan. Titignan natin, we're expecting na baka yung ibang gas stations sa Quezon City, yung ating susunod na bibisitahin, kasama pa din of course yung mga opisyal ng Department of Energy.
Okay, so we will definitely be watching out for that. Maraming salamat for that update, mobile journalist Arles De Los Santos on the ground. And moving on to sports, Japeth Aguilar captured his third All-Star Game MVP as Team North defeated Team South in the return of the PBA All-Star Game in Candon, that's in Ilocos Sur. The 39-year-old Barangay Ginebra star finished with 29 points and 6 rebounds, sealing the win with a two-handed dunk worth 3 points late in the game. Aguilar also became the oldest All-Star Game MVP in league history. CJ Perez led all scorers for the North with 32 points, while Justin Arana added 16, including key baskets in the fourth quarter. Now for the South, Alex Stockton scored 29 points in the losing effort. The victory also marked Team North's sixth straight win in the North-South All-Star format. PBA Board Chairman Ricky Vargas said Candon Ilocos Sur was chosen to host the All-Star events because of its passionate basketball community and strong backing from local officials. Vargas also encouraged fans across the country to continue supporting the league and to watch their favorite players during the anniversary celebrations. And that wraps up today's episode of Morning Matters. We hope we have given you just the right start to your morning. Let's now make the day matter. I'm Dani Laurel. Kapatid, we are One News, all sides, all the time.